Good. All right, Monica and Karen, whenever you're ready.
Good morning. This is Monica Sargent, Educational Counselor at Vermont Student Assistance Corporation, where I work in the Educational Opportunity Center program. I'm joined today by my colleague Karen McGovern, who also serves Chittenden County as I do, and Karen also serves Franklin County. And we have panelists representing USCRI Vermont, Vermont Adult Learning, and Community College of Vermont. And behind us all is Chris Berry, who will be helping with all the technical issues related to the PowerPoint and the chat. So that's where you can enter questions. And I think what we've decided is to have the panelists respond to questions as we advance through the session. So today's topic is educational resources for former refugees, immigrants, and asylees. Next slide. And I have told you about myself and Karen, and the session is being recorded, and this, along with the other Zoom rooms that have been happening since the end of July, are available for review after today's meeting through the VSAC website. So you could refer someone who missed today's session to take a look at what we've covered today. And I did, now you can see who the panelists are from the various organizations. Jennifer Borch is here from USCRI Vermont, Julia DePietro from Vermont Adult Learning, Ashraf Alamatouri from Community College of Vermont, and we will be definitely joined by Hemet Giesing, who's been doing an internship with VSAC through much of this year. And we may not be able to have Ayanle Olo from, who's a student at Champlain College with us today. We haven't confirmed his ability to be here. Next slide. So this is the 30th year of operation of VSAC's Educational Opportunity Center program, which is a federally funded TRIO program that provides services to adults who do not have a four-year degree. Although there are many people who come here from other countries who've earned a degree there'll be some information about resources for those individuals. And of course, we do work with those people in helping them apply for financial aid. And we work with other people with four-year degrees, but we just can't count them as part of this grant because it's a college and training access program for adults. And we do work also, I should say, with some high school seniors who are not being served by Upward Bound programs, Talent Search program, and the Talent Search and Gear Up program at VSAC. There are 7 counselors doing this work around Vermont. And like all TRIO programs, in the course of a year, 2/3 of the target number of individuals that we are expected to serve must be first-generation college-bound students and come from families with low to moderate income. So before I introduce Jennifer, I just want to say that I have, I guess, what's now USCRI Vermont was originally called the Vermont Refugee Resettlement Program, and it was established in the early 80s. And I've been with VSAC since 1983, serving Chittenden County. And as a result, I've assisted the various populations of resettled refugees, really beginning with people from Vietnam and Cambodia after the war there, and extending through the current day resettled populations of Congolese, Somalians, Burmese, and Bhutanese, and a few others, as Jennifer will tell us. And one thing that often begins my connection with an individual is their interest in learning to drive, because of course there's limited public transportation in Vermont, and to help people access employment opportunities. It's really helpful to get their license. So what's now called the Advancement Grant is available to help people learn to drive. And people can get up to 2 awards if they need them from that grant. And many of those people who've made their first connection with VSAC and with the Educational Opportunity Center program to learn to drive have gone on to complete 4-year college degrees. So it's often a great starting point, but they will keep that. They will have met VSAC and connected with us. So that's often how they come back to us for more education. Jennifer Borch is going to, as I said, is representing USCRI Vermont. Jennifer is the education program coordinator there, and she coordinates English language and citizenship classes, technology training, and the volunteer tutoring program. She has spent the last 20 years in language education in the US and abroad, including North Africa and the Middle East, Nepal, Vietnam, and France. Jennifer has a master's in French from UVM and a master's in teaching English to speakers of other languages from St. Michael's, where she teaches in the graduate program and supervises student teachers seeking Vermont state licensure to teach English language learners. Her professional interests include technology integration in the classroom, virtual cultural exchange, girls empowerment, and best practices for refugee background students. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us today.
Thank you, Monica. It's great to be here. And you had a great introduction about kind of the refugee populations that we have been resettling in Chittenden County for the last 40 years. And I thought I'd start off today just by giving a brief overview of some of the communities that have arrived over the years most recently. So kind of have a general idea of the populations that we are working with. We do provide free educational programming for refugees and asylees for the first 5 years from their arrival in the United States. And the groups that have been arriving have really transitioned over the last 4 years. If we went back to 2017, the majority of refugees arriving here in Vermont were coming to us from Bhutan, with also a large number coming from Somalia, and some from the Democratic Republic of Congo and Iraq, and then a few from other places in the world. And then there has been a large transition, and I'll show you the next slide here, to our most recent populations arriving. So fiscal year 2019, you can see that's largely shifted to the bulk of our clients coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo. A few are still coming from Burma, a few from Burundi, and we had one from Somalia in 2019. And then, as you can imagine, 2020 has been a difficult year for refugee resettlement. It was difficult already because of the current administration's restrictions on refugees. And then COVID-19 really impacted the number of refugees who are able to travel as well. So we resettled, I think, 21 people total in fiscal year 20, and the majority of those were also from the Democratic Republic of Congo. So if we look at who we've resettled in the last 2 years, it's largely been folks coming to us from the DRC. So then I just want to tell you a little bit about our programming. We go to the next slide. You see here just a quick overview of what the Refugee Resettlement Program does in the first 90 days for a refugee when they arrive to Burlington, Vermont Airport, and the steps that they go through in our process. And I've circled in red the 2 pieces that really apply to education. And the first, which says ESL referral on the far left, refers to the services that we provide through USCRI for adult refugees and asylees who do not enroll in the K through 12 system here in Vermont. And then at the bottom, you'll see another circle which says child school enrollment, which just refers to the case management services that we provide in helping families get their children or young adults enrolled in public education. And Vermont is unique in that we don't have an age limit on high school education. So it is a nice opportunity when folks arrive, if they are interested and they're a bit older, they're still interested in going back to high school, they do have that option. But for those who do not go into the public school system, that's where USCRI's education programs are able to take over. Let's take a look at the next slide. I wanted to give you a brief overview of what we did pre-pandemic because things have shifted significantly in the last 6 months. But as of last February, you would have seen community classes running in spaces throughout the community, both in Winooski and in Burlington, in churches, at CCV, in donated spaces at the family room. So all over, places where our population could walk so they could access our English classes or citizenship classes or digital literacy classes. We had teachers working in those spaces, and we also had lots of volunteers, classroom assistants, and one-on-one tutors who were working with students in their homes. That changed. So let's take a look at our next slide. Oh, actually, let me go back because I did want to talk about one other program. Our Pathways to Higher Education program, which I didn't highlight, is actually a special program that we run at CCV. And it's designed for refugees or asylees who already have educational credentials from their home country, meaning at least a high school diploma, and then an intermediate or advanced level of English, who are interested in pursuing higher education here in the United States or pursuing a career training path. So it's really a unique class that helps these folks navigate both the college application process and learning advanced academic English that would allow them to integrate successfully into a higher ed classroom given that opportunity. Then we can go to the next slide, and I just wanted to feature a couple of recent success stories. This is Georgette and her teacher, Nancy Lindbergh, who's our Pathways to Higher Education teacher, who started out in the Pathways program and then successfully enrolled at CCV this past fall in her first class. And then we have a second student who also had a success story, Agnes Quinn, who followed a similar path. She stayed in the Pathways program actually for a number of years, repeating the program over and over until she really gained the confidence she needed to move on to classes at CCV. So she has also successfully enrolled. So those are some great success stories pre-pandemic. And now we're going to highlight what we've done since March. So on this slide, you will see that we have transitioned all of our classes to Zoom. They're existing in the Zoom world like everyone else. And it was a slow process. One of the challenges with this particular population is that many folks didn't have equipment or internet access. So before shifting everything online, it also required making sure people had both the equipment and the training they needed to access classes on Zoom. I'm happy to report that as of September, these are up and running. And we currently offer a newcomer English class in conjunction with Parent University at Burlington High School. We also have an Expressing Your Voice with Parent University class, which is designed for more intermediate speakers, and it focuses specifically on navigating the school system in Burlington. We have a USCRI Vermont newcomer English class, which is open enrollment to any of our clients. And then coming soon, we'll have a level 1 and 2 English class in that same format. One of the programs we've worked really hard on is the Introduction to Digital Literacy program, which is matching new Chromebooks with clients who have never had access to computers, making sure they have internet connections at their homes, and then teaching both digital literacy skills and English language skills online. And that's a really recent effort. It launched in mid-September. We're in our 4th week of that right now. It's an exciting program. And then our virtual tutoring program. So all of our one-to-one tutors have also shifted to the online environment. We're also providing Chromebooks to tutor and student pairs with the hope of getting students up and running on Zoom with that one-to-one support as well. In the community, we always welcomed people to our class. They were open enrollment. You could walk in and test out a class. At this point, because we have to send Zoom links, it does require registration. And my information is posted here on this slide. So if you have any clients or students you know of who would be interested, in joining an online English class, digital literacy class, and eventually citizenship or pathways to higher ed class, I would really encourage them to reach out. I've also listed our Facebook link, which is a new creation since the pandemic as well. Initially, we just tried to stay engaged with students there, and that is shifting. Starting next week, we'll have both a Facebook Live session every week with our teacher Caitlin, running English with Caitlin on Wednesdays. So students can just tune in live for a weekly session there, and she'll also be posting review updates from our newcomer curriculum. That's a quick overview, and you can go on to our next slide just to show some fun highlights from what we've been up to lately. This was our digital literacy launch last month. As I said, super exciting. Gave out Chromebooks. We had to do a masked outdoor session. Thankfully, the Winooski Library gave us the space in front of their library where we could borrow their leaking Wi-Fi connection. And we successfully connected 11 clients that day to the internet and also taught them how to use Zoom. And then we can go to the next slide. We'll see one more photo of that. And then the next slide is success the following week. So all those same people managed to log on from home, which was quite an exciting day for all of us. And now they're attending weekly digital literacy classes for 2 hours on Wednesdays. And then just a quick photo after that shows our newcomer English class. And this is what it looks like when you join English with Caitlin, who's in the center there with the letter M. And we started at the very beginning with our newcomer curriculum, letters, numbers, colors, and we've launched that as well. And that's also open enrollment, and folks are welcome to join just by registering through me. I think that sums up our USCRI programs. So I would be happy to entertain questions if there are any.
No questions have come through yet.
Great.
Okay, so thank you, Jennifer. And if questions come up that relate to Jennifer, you can put them in the chat room and we'll get to them as the session progresses. Next, representing Vermont Adult Learning is Julia DePietro. Julia is in charge of ELL intake and is an education advisor with Vermont Adult Learning. Julia has a master's degree from St. Michael's in teaching English to speakers of other languages. And before joining VAL, Julia taught English to university students in Vietnam and was an assistant professor of English at Kanazawa University in Japan for 6 years. Since joining VAL in 2005, Julia has served in various capacities there. So please welcome Julia.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Monica. My name is Julia, and I work at Vermont Adult Learning. And today I'm just going to give you an overview of some of the programs that Vermont Adult Learning offers. As you can see on this introductory slide, Vermont Adult Learning is a statewide adult education nonprofit. And we offer, in Burlington, we offer free classes for adult learners ages 16 and older who want to improve English language skills, get a high school diploma or a GED, or improve reading, writing, math, or digital literacy skills. And on this first slide, you can see I gave you a general information for Vermont Adult Learning. Okay, so next slide. We'll talk a little bit more about the English language program at Vermont Adult Learning. As you can imagine, like everybody else, we have had to transition our classes so that they are now offered, they're all online at this point. Before, like USCRI, our classes were located in the community in different locations. We had classes in Colchester and Burlington, but we've had to shift. And so now everything is offered online and mostly through Zoom. Some teachers are also using Google Meet, And we also conduct classes using WhatsApp for folks who might not have access to a laptop or a tablet. So we've tried to meet students where they're at, and it's been an interesting time. The classes we offer online are from beginning to advanced levels. We still have those. This also includes our College Essentials class, which is a transition to college and career, and it's an advanced level English class. Classes are offered in the morning, afternoon, and evening, and usually twice a week. Most of our online classes are using a program called Burlington English, which is an online digital platform for English language learning. And Vermont Adult Learning, we also partner with some community organizations such as AALV, the Association of Africans Living in Vermont, to offer PCA and pre-LNA classes for English language learners. We also offer English at Work classes at different area employers. In the past, those have included Twincraft, Rhino Foods, Pillsbury. So our classes are all open enrollment. So if you are interested in English language classes or have clients who might be, you could contact me directly. And my contact information is there. I am meeting with people twice a week. We're offering, I'm meeting with people by appointment only. So people can register for classes and take an English placement test. So I am meeting with students by appointment only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, next slide. Okay, so in addition to the English language classes, Vermont Adult Learning also offers a high school completion program. And you can earn your high school diploma through this program. It's an individualized course of study. You work with an educational advisor to create a personalized learning plan. And you can earn your diploma from your local high school. And you can also earn your GED through Vermont Adult Learning. VAL administers the GED, which is the high school equivalency credential, and it's earned by taking exams. So the exams cover literacy, math, social studies, and science. And we also offer essential skills classes. So students in these classes work on reading, writing, or math. And also digital literacy and technology. Some of these classes will help students advance to the high school completion program or the GED program. And will also help students move on to better jobs or to different training programs. So that was a brief overview of our services here at Vermont Adult Learning. And I guess I can take questions if anyone has any.
It doesn't look like any questions have come through for Val at this time. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you.
Okay, so our third panelist is Ashraf Alamatouri, representing Community College of Vermont. And Ashraf is a coordinator of teaching and advisement at CCV. And prior to joining CCV, Ashraf was in the same position actually that Jennifer currently occupies at the USCRI Vermont, where he was the education coordinator. Ashraf taught English at Kalamoon University and trained teachers at numerous locations in Syria. He was also the language department director at the International Center for Human Development and is a Fulbright alum. Ashraf has a BA in English literature and 2 master's degrees related to teaching English to speakers of other languages. He's currently a doctoral candidate in the Educational Leadership Program at the University of Vermont. So welcome, Ashraf.
Thank you very much, Monica, and I'm happy to be in this seminar, as I also identify myself with a new American population. So Community College of Vermont, if we can go to the next slide, is a part of the Vermont State Colleges, which is Castleton, Vermont Tech, Northern Vermont University, and Community College of Vermont. So we are under the umbrella of the Vermont State Colleges. Next slide, please. And actually this year, Community College of Vermont celebrating its 15th anniversary with connecting Vermonters to opportunities. So CCV started in 1970, and in this year, 2020, we are 50 years celebrating this year with all Vermonters. Next slide, please. So CCV is an open admissions. That means that really you can register each semester when you are students are ready. They can register for classes. No SAT or ACT is required, no essays, and no application fees. At CCV, we believe that academic advising is essential. So when students are registering, they will be connected with their advisors, usually day one, to get a personalized academic plan for their study. And also we use an assessment called AccuPlacer to make sure that we help the student and assign them classes that they need right now, and their levels in English and math will meet that level. Go to the next slide, please. So some information about CCV. So CCV is the second largest college in Vermont. We offers 1,000 courses per semester, and most classes meet one time per week, 12 location plus online within 25 miles of most Vermonters, and 81 of students attend part-time. So we design our classes really to meet the needs of students who needs to work and study at the same time. Average class size is 13 students. So I came from a university where we have hundreds of students in the auditorium. So I really appreciate the number of students in each class, the small number of students. And we have 3 semesters, fall, spring, and summer. As my colleagues mentioned that after the pandemic, CCV moved all the classes online, and we were really lucky to have the online center. So we moved online, and we have now 2 kind of, or 3 method of teaching classes. We have fully online classes, online plus synchronous. That means online plus using like tools like Zoom to teach classes, and online plus hybrid. For example, for art classes that they need to meet to do things with materials with respect of social distancing. We have big halls for the students to meet sometimes once or twice a month for those classes. But most of the classes that we offer right now are online or synchronous classes. Also, we got, as Vermont State Colleges, we got a grant from the state to provide classes for Vermonters who affected by COVID-19. which we really have many Vermonters affected by this pandemic. So we have a grant to offer classes for free for them, and those classes are starting on November 2nd and ending on December 21st. So it's a great opportunity for students who are affected by COVID-19. Please go to the second slide, please. Next slide. So we have different programs in our at CCV centers that you can see that really those programs are essential if students decided to take these and really go directly to the work. Also, those classes and programs, we have many agreements with state colleges, UVM, and Champlain College, Norwich University. So we have a lot of agreement in Vermont and also outside of Vermont in New York. So that students can really transfer their credits, and also they can study what we call that 2+2, 2 years at CCV and 2 years at a different college that we have agreement with. So the students will end with 4 years. And as you know, that I'll speak about the cost in a minute. That can save students time and money. For our multi and bilingual students, we use now this adjective to describe what previously was English language learners or English learners. So for multilingual and bilingual students at CCV, we offer also specific classes for English. We have also a class with English for academic purposes with 3 credits, so students still can work on their English while they are taking CCV classes. Go to the next slide, please. Thank you. As we say that, start at CCV and easily transfer to another college. Usually when students arrive again from day one, they will have an academic advisor, will have a plan for each student, and we will give them the opportunities and what their goals, and then we connect them with their objectives. And if their objective is to transfer, we will make that happen, and we make sure that we share with the students our agreements, so they really will be planned ahead very early in their college life. Next slide, please. So with CCV, again, it's affordability is very important, I know, for many students, and especially for multilingual or bilingual students, new Americans. So we have the lowest tuition in Vermont, and we have a lot of financial aid opportunities. We work very closely with our colleagues in VSAC, and actually, even physically, we are around the corner from VSAC, and we have a good relationship, and some of VSAC actually staff are working in the building at CCV Winooski. Again, after the pandemic, it's still many of the staff working from home, but it's very easy to connect them with financial aid or with VSAC, and then it's a win-win situation where our students are able to afford college, specifically for multi or bilingual students whose first language is not English. Sometimes they need to make sure they get their basics financial needs, and we want to make sure that college is also in their radar, and we want to make sure that it's affordable. Then next slide, please. So those programs, I'm really very proud of Vermont and CCV to offer those classes. We have free classes for any high school student, 9th to 12th grade. Those classes really, if any developmental classes like in English or in math, if you are a high school student, you can register for free for those classes. Also, we with those classes, sometimes they are with no credits, but the high school will give credits to the class. The other program, I'm also very happy to see many bilingual or multilingual students from New Vermonters are really coming to the dual enrollment class, so they can use 2 vouchers from their high schools to get college class, and then it will serve both in the high school, and also it will give them credits for college. Also, we with those classes, just we want to make sure students have a taste of the college, what the college looks like, because many pieces of research say that usually student like the biggest step for them is to come to college, to interact with college, and to see how the college looks like. Next slide, please. So as we say that for college classes, we have because CCV tuition is low, so they can take up to 2 free classes paid by their high school, by the Agency of Education in Vermont, and they earn both these credits for their school and for college at the same time. There's also a very interesting program in the next slide, please. Yes, so this program called Early Education, and this is really for high school seniors, where they spend their senior year at CCV, and they can get 1 year paid for them, and also earn their high school credits and the college credits. I'm extremely happy to see many of new Americans, multilingual and bilingual students are since I have arrived at CCV, I'm seeing increased number of students really interested in this program, and they get really I'm seeing them at the college that's adding a lot of to the culture of the college, and also learning and fulfilling 1 year worth of university or college. So with this program also, the early college students, we understand that they still need to go to sport activities, so they can do that at the high school as well. Next slide, please. So also there's a very interesting opportunity for our population with New American, bilingual or multilingual classes. We have the Office of Prior Learning Assessment at Vermont State Colleges program, and we have one administrated at CCV actually, and it's hosted at CCV. We provide options that's work-related credits or knowledge have been gained outside of university, that the students can demonstrate their knowledge at the university level, and they can earn a credit for that. I'll leave these, and I put some links for people who are interested with those programs. That's I think that, for example, if your language is French, for example, if you're coming from Democratic Republic of Congo and your language is French, you can use your French to get credits with CCV, because we already have a French program or Arabic. It's the same thing. Next slide, please. So those are really 3 tools. We offer them for all the students, and again, I'm seeing a good number of multi and bilingual students using those resources like the Learning Center, tutor.com, and Mentors. Also, after the pandemic, we moved everything online. So now you can all students can really see the go to the tutor.com. It's embedded in their Canvas courses, and also they can have an appointment with mentors working with them in their courses. So the mentor will have an access to the course. This is a pilot program now we are just experiencing, where we have mentors in the classes, in the first seminar classes for students. Next slide, please. So this is also for international credits. I have many of students who earned some college classes outside of the United States, and those classes actually you can transfer them to CCV. What you need, as all the colleges here, you need to evaluate those courses, and there's a website. I put it in here. However, CCV just does not endorse any particular service. So when you're requesting your evaluation, so just if you are interested, if the student is interested with this program, we ask usually for course by course evaluation, because there's another kind of evaluation, like a summary evaluation. For college classes, we are required to have course by course evaluation. Again, thank you very much for this opportunity. And if you have any question, you are more than welcome to ask the question. Thank you.
Hi, Ashraf. We actually did have a question come through that I think would be great if you could address. Can someone holding a master's degree attend one of CCV's programs? And it's also a 2-part question, also the same regarding any VSAC offerings. So Ashraf, if you want to start with maybe addressing the CCV portion of that, if anyone with a master's degree is able to attend those programs.
So yeah, so again, CCV is an open university. You can attend to take any class for the credits, or even for auditing. Financially, if you mean financially, maybe VSAC can speak more about that. But for CCV, usually if you are coming and you'd like to take a class, you are more than welcome to take a class to see maybe some of the people now with the changing of the work dynamic, the work fields. I'm seeing a lot of students, for example, they study their master degree and now they are more interested in nursing, for example, or childcare or teaching. The CCV is a great place to start exploring those fields and for credits. The other thing that you can bring credits to whatever you have studied before, you can bring it to CCV. We ask just for at minimum to take 15 credit at CCV, and you can transfer other credits. I think the other part is for VSAC, so I'll stop in here.
So Karen, do you want to respond to the other question? I got quite a lot of noise going on here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen McGovern. I work with Monica as an educational counselor with the EOC program at VSAC. And if someone has a bachelor's degree or a master's degree already, they are no longer eligible to apply for the federal Pell Grant or the Vermont State Grant. However, we do have a grant called the Advancement Grant, and students can apply for that. It is need-based. It is something they would need to provide their income for. The only thing is there's only 2 courses per enrollment term, 4 courses per year, with a maximum amount that one would have to look at. And you can only get 6 advancement grants in a lifetime. So there's a limit to those. So if somebody was pursuing an additional degree, they may not be able to have that covered completely with an advancement grant.
Thank you, Karen. We did have one. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and if they had any questions, we can certainly help them with that process.
Thank you. And then one final question for Ashraf, actually. If a student is enrolled through CCV at a campus other than Winooski, do they still have access to all the same language learning supports that they do through the Winooski school site?
So if students are enrolled in, we have the learning centers in 3 different centers. Tutor.com, we have it also in all the centers. And for now, because we have moved online, all the resources are available for every student at CCV. Again, even if the student, we are still one college. So if the student in Brattleboro, for example, they can still get the service from Winooski and also other centers. Also mentoring, for example, you can still have appointment now, and we are exploring the synchronous appointments, and we see that students are really very interested in this service. So the answer is now yes, for sure. And in the future, also you can stop by. You have you can an appointment with any of the tutors, and yeah. So the question is yes. So you still a CCV students, and I just want to go back to the first question. Also with CCV, we have some grants. So just we have some grants for students aside from the grants from VSAC or the FAFSA. So what I will encourage students, just when they apply to the financial aid office, and just throw them a question, and really you might get a scholarship, even if you did not find another scholarship, and you are not eligible for a scholarship outside of CCB.
Thank you.
I'd like to add something, Chris, to the
course.
question about financial aid for people with degrees. One important component of getting a degree evaluated is that there are instances when the degree is determined not equivalent to a US degree. And so in that case, a person then can, they will still get a course by course evaluation documenting their credit. They have a transcript to provide to CCV or another college. But if they are eligible, then they can get Vermont grants and Pell grants when the degree is not equivalent to a US degree. So that's an important component of going through the evaluation process. Thanks.
Thank you. There's a couple of other questions, but they seem like they might be better to hold till the final question slide. So if we're good, I can move forward to the next one.
So I think we're going to have the EOC intern, Hemet Giesing, introduce himself before we get into the final wrap up here about our program, and speak about 5 minutes about his own educational experience. I thought that would be helpful to kind of illustrate some of the services that we've talked about today and how an individual might have made use of those. Hemet? He's with us.
Oh, or I can just continue on. Oh, there you are. Hi, Hema.
Hi. I think I might answer some of the questions Chandralyn has put up in the chat. I'm one of the examples, a refugee from Bhutan. And then with the master's degree, I came to the US and I didn't know where to start. And then the first I started was taking the non-degree grants from VSAC. I took 4 of them, and then I identified where I'm going to go in the future. So I decided I will go to UVM. Then I have a trouble of finding my professor back from where I got my master's degrees from Nepal to write me the recommendation letter. That was a big challenge. That was one reason to go. Other reason to go to the UVM continuing classes. So I didn't go to the mainstream classes right away. I took VSAC non-degree grants and took 4 non-degree, the 4 continuing classes, the degree level classes from UVM, because I decided before I went for these classes, I decided to go to UVM and do my educational leadership program. And then as I did 4 classes, I got to know at least 4 professors who can write me the recommendation letter. I think that's a very important part for us. Other one is I got to know about the classroom environment and pedagogies in the US classroom system. So that really built up my confidence. And then after having those 4 classes, I applied for non-degree grants twice, because I think you get 2 non-degree grants in one time. And then I took 2 classes per year. So it was 2 years that I took the classes. I was a bit patient about going classes, because I know that to achieve the goals, you have to stay focused and go slow and gradual as you are integrating, transitioning to this country. And after having those 4 classes, I applied for UVM and I got into the doctoral program. And I started in 2014 and I ended up graduating last year, 2019. I'm just recent graduates. Soon as I was completing my degrees, BSAC was looking for the internship at the UVM education department. And then my academic professors has a link with the supervisor for EOC at the BSAC, Maryland. And we had a talk. I started working as an intern from last January. And then now I'm in the 30th EOC projects that I'm working on. I'm taking photographs. In the meantime, before the pandemics, I sat for several observations of the EOC counselor for especially the new Americans and even others. So that was the journey. I work for Burlington School District and looking for another move that is more meaningful and to my expert areas. That's my presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Hema, very much. I want to also, so thank you, Monica, also for clarifying that about whether or not someone's transcripts are evaluated and how they come back. So that is a very important distinction. So if it comes back that they don't have the equivalent, as Monica said, then they may be eligible for additional aid, federal aid and Vermont state grant. If, however, because it sometimes can take some time, and so in the meantime, they may use the advancement grant, which is formally the non-degree grant, which is what Hema was talking about too. So they can take a couple continuing ed classes to in the meantime until they know if that transcript is the equivalent or not. So I just wanted to add that as well. In this slide, we see that if you do refer anyone, we'll help them with career exploration and education and training, planning, and the financial aid process. So I don't know if we have, and also I added a few additional resources here to the PowerPoint presentation with links. And I don't know if we have any additional questions, but
we've had a couple come up. Let's see, I think the first one might be geared more towards Jennifer. I'll ask it and then let her confirm if that'll be up her alley. If I remember correctly, there was a course that she referenced, English with Caitlin. And we were just looking to confirm if students needed to be in Chittenden County, or maybe say, for example, that a student lived in the Northeast Kingdom. Can they join those other virtual classes like English with Caitlin?
They sure can. That's one of the positives that has come out of COVID-19. We can serve anyone in the state now. So it's just a matter of getting in touch with me and talking to me about your qualifications for the class and finding the right level for you, and I'll send out a Zoom link.
Thank you. We've got a few more. What aid is available for a recent refugee who has low-paying job or maybe doesn't qualify for advancement? Maybe this individual wants to change their profession, but they can't afford to pay for their courses to do so. Anybody who might be able to address that one?
Monica, did you want to do that or?
Sure, we'll hope for the noise not being.
Okay.
Well, you know, the advancement grant is quite, I don't know. I mean, I think the allowances for eligibility mean that a person with a low paying job quite often is eligible. And particularly if it's a person who has dependents, you know, that's taken into account. And I think that there are instances where we've seen that someone might not be eligible for the federal Pell Grant, but they still could be eligible for the advancement grant. And I know quite often students who are starting out with foundation classes at CCV, like foundations of reading and writing, foundations of math, they may prefer to use the advancement grants to help pay for those because they're not using financial aid that has limitations when they become a degree student. So that can often function. And of course, the other feature of the advancement grant is that it's available for non-college classes as well. You know, I've seen many people in the community of resettled people who are using advancement grants for licensed nursing assistant training, to become commercial drivers with CDL-As or Bs, particularly with passenger endorsement to drive the buses in Chittenden County. And numerous other activities can be funded. So that is someplace, you know, a thing that we can help people explore some of the options that are available with the advancement grant. But I think for the most part, with the low paying jobs, you know, an individual is likely to be eligible. And when they're not, you know, I think Ashraf mentioned that sometimes CCV has some money that they may be able to help a student that isn't connected to VSAC or the federal government.
All right, we got two more questions. I'm hoping we can address them both here. This one's asking if an individual is an asylum seeker whose case is still ongoing and they're waiting for a final decision released on bond, are they still able to go in for education while waiting?
No, the federal guidelines, which VSAC follows with the advancement grant, a person would have to have their asylum granted before they can receive state or federal aid. And that I know that is an unfortunate circumstance because that can take several years sometimes in the process of having that asylum decided. I don't know, maybe Ashraf, I don't know if any of those funds at CCV have been extended to people in that situation. I'm unsure of that, but I do sometimes have to say, tell people that I'm disappointed, but we can't assist them until the asylum is approved.
All right, and we've got one final question. Stefa Kaur, I know you'd like to ask your question verbally. If you want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to ask now.
Great, thank you so much, Chris.
Of course.
Thank you to all the panelists, especially Ashraf and Herman. Nice seeing your faces here again. I think my question goes to anybody because I'm just struggling to get youth with disabilities from, around Vermont. So I'm the independent living coordinator of youth transition program for Vermont Center for Independent Living. We currently serve students between the ages of 14 to 26. But in my program, I've been looking for the youth with disabilities. I know it's a hard thing to disclose your disability, especially when you are, from the cultures that we are coming from. I just want to throw in here, if there is a way, I want to know the transition plan that they have, or your program has, as you recognize the youth with disabilities, and how best I can be of help, or how we can collaborate so that I can involve them in my program. A current program that I'm about to have on Saturday is the Youth Transition Halloween program for all the youth across the state through all the school system. But unfortunately, I haven't gotten youth of different, youth of color, youth of different identities yet to be registered. So I think the more reason why I joined this platform is to get the right person to communicate with, especially if there is a transition program. I will share a flyer through the chat box right now about the program I'm talking about, but I would love to know what is the transition program that you'll be working with so that I can connect strongly with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Safakar. First, congratulations in your new job. I think that we are lucky to have you here in Vermont, and I know how much you advocate for this specific population. So thank you for what you are doing right now. I'd like to connect you with our resource coordinator. I think she's from United Ways, and she usually students will they will disclose if they'd like to disclose a disability for getting accessibility. And sometimes if they need more services, they contact the resource coordinator. So I'm happy to make this connection between you two. I just want also for the asylum seeker question, for CCV also, if you can prove you are here living in Vermont, you can consider as a state student, so the tuition will be in-state tuition. So this is really also sometimes, even if you did not get a grant, that will elevate some of the education tuition, sometimes a half or more. And again, it doesn't hurt to, when you apply, to ask that, is there a specific grant that I can apply for? The only exception is for international visitors on B1 or B2 visas, and I think also for F2 visas.
But really, if you really concentrate on thrive and provide, those are the key words.
Yeah, so so that's the only exception.
Just quickly, I also want to chime in on Vermont Adult Learning classes are available to those with the seeking asylum. So all of our programs are open to anyone. All of our classes are free, first of all, and then anyone who is also applying for asylum is welcome to join any of our classes. Just wanted to add that.
No other questions.
Great. Well, thank you all so much. And I want to especially thank our panelists today for sharing all of this great information and their resources. So, and a big thank you for all the work that you're doing and the opportunity we all have to work together for this population. So thank you to Jennifer, Julia, Ashraf, and Hemant for joining us and sharing And on behalf of Monica and Chris and myself, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.